Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending. I wanted to welcome to the stage Nick Freeland.
I love applause, and I've done nothing, so thanks. Thanks for coming in today, everyone. Final day of JNUC, day after the Jamf Nation party, and good to see lots of faces here. My name's Nick Freeland. I'm from Ferocia, which is a digital bank in Melbourne, Australia. This presentation has been localized from Australian English, so hopefully everything comes across clearly. I'm here to talk about how your wildest dreams can be fulfilled and how you can unleash all of your IT potential through the use of automations. We're going to cover a bit of background of Ferocia, where we've come from and the problems that we've been trying to solve, how you can prioritize which automations to work on to have the biggest impact in your organization, what types of automations you might want to think about implementing, and finally, how you can learn, teach others, share your victories and the challenges that you've faced along the way. So, Ferocia, this is on ferocia.com.au. Our slogan is software designed to delight. Like I said before, we're a software company that is a digital bank. It might sound pretty boring to some people, but we are not a bunch of regular bankers. We're a group of makers, creative people, problem solvers. We play competitive Mario Kart, which is linked up to a Mac Mini with an HDMI splitter, and it's got like scoreboards and posts to Slack. You won't find that at other banks. In around 2012, Ferocia started working with Bendigo Bank on their mobile apps and e-banking platform. And in 2018, Up was launched. This is the main product that we're known for, and this is the fully digital bank part. No physical locations whatsoever apart from the office that we work from. As you can see, we like bright colors. That's kind of our vibe. We've got all the usual core banking features you would expect. You can open up savings accounts in the app and track your savings goals. Up can also identify upcoming regular charges that you might have, like bills or subscriptions. And then Up can calculate your spendable balance. And this is the amount that is left over after all of those upcoming bills and charges are accounted for. On top of all that banking stuff, though, there's a lot of fun things in the app. We've got happy hour Fridays 5 to 7, so if you go to a bar or a restaurant, you get a little push notification and you get a chance to win some cash back. We've also got Hi-Fi, which is a survey for people to assess their feelings towards their spending habits and compare their results over time. And Save Up 1,000, which prompts and nudges people to save $1,000 over the course of a year. Each week, the user receives a push notification asking them to choose an amount from the list, usually a few dollars a week. And then at the end of the year, they've saved up $1,000. A lot of Up's primary target market is younger Australians. So for some people, this is the first $1,000 that they've ever saved up. So we're really proud of the work that we do to try and educate younger Australians and improve their financial literacy. Bendigo liked what Ferocia was doing, and in 2021, Ferocia was acquired by Bendigo Bank. And now we are the bank's digital division. And since 2018, over 1.2 million Australians have signed up to bank with us. Ferocia's focus is on making things easy for our customers. That extends to the employee experience as well. Now, we're all friends here. So I'm going to let you in on a secret. I'm super lazy. If I can get out of doing work, I will do that. Unfortunately for me, I usually spend a lot of time working and making sure that I'll be able to get out of doing the work later on. I'm going to take you on part of the journey that we've been on and show you what some of our employee-focused automations look like. Before we get to that, though, we're going to look at prioritization. How do you know where to start? So Ferocia is about 250 employees. That includes engineering, design, marketing, customer support, operations, and my team, internal IT support. Thankfully, we have the help and support of Bendigo Bank, who do a lot of the other real banky things, the mainframes and all that. They still exist. So we don't have to deal with all of that. So we're able to stay a relatively small and lean team. The team that I lead, the internal IT team, is just 3 people, and I'm one of them. So with so much to do and so little time and resources, like I'm sure everyone else here experiences, where do we begin? So I didn't want to go through all the historical data because we've been growing a lot. So really, I just started looking at the 200 most recent internal IT tickets, categorized them into broad buckets, and estimated roughly how long every request in that category would take. With this data, it was then possible to easily identify what automations would have the biggest impact. So as you can see here, looking at the data from left to right, we'll start with the first category of requests. Now, these requests would take a long time to resolve, but we don't get too many of them. I'd recommend staying away from these as a first task to automate, unless it's going to be a massive quality of life improvement for you. Instead, I generally try and focus on categories like these. These ones have a lot of requests relative to the others and take more time to resolve. These will likely have a bigger impact for you and your team. If we were looking at the third candidate for a category to automate, this one down at the bottom might be tempting because it has the third largest number of requests. But because the time taken to solve each request is relatively low, there's only a small improvement to be had. Instead, this category here, which has a slightly smaller number of requests, but takes more time to solve, would be a better candidate for some automations. We've prioritized which tasks that we want to automate, so let's dive in and look at some of the automations that involve some level of user interaction. Now, you might already have some, I'm going to call them manual automations. They might be runbooks, they might be policy documents, they might be step-by-step instructions that you email out to a user, things like that. Things like go to system settings, check, is this option enabled? Or click that button in that app, things like that. An example of a runbook that we used to have was updating the nudge configuration profile whenever a new version of macOS was released. In early 2024, I gave a lightning talk at XWorld, a Mac admins conference in Melbourne, where I spoke about a way that I wrote an automation to automatically update our config profile and push the update to Jamf Pro using the data in the SOFA feed. Little did I know, a couple months after that, official SOFA support was brought into Nudge, which we love. And then if we were paying attention in the keynote with declarations, now we can use blueprints and have those automatically update when new software updates are released too. So even that's been Sherlocked. Instead, I'm not going to talk about that because that's long gone now. We're going to look at an example that's still in use today. So this device compliance criteria checker, or DC3, is a script that we built that checks some of the criteria that we use for conditional access. If a user's device is not compliant, then they're denied access to Microsoft resources like Outlook and Teams, which I'm sure everyone is very upset about. Previously, we used to have to click through the Jamf UI and try and identify, based on the criteria, what a user's device was doing. Did it meet all of the criteria? A lot of clicking, lots of different screens, a lot of manual work. I'd just like to point out that I made that logo in Keynote, and Keynote is the best graphic design software, and I will not be taking any questions on that. So this is a simplified example for the presentation, but I think you'll be able to get the idea. This, when the user runs it, it will check the criteria of their device, and it will give them feedback. This was all just based on the extension attributes that we wrote. Just packaged them up into one bash script, and it's being displayed with Swift Dialog. Tools that we already have in our ecosystem, and you've probably got something similar in yours already too. So users can run this policy from self-service, which is great. If there are any issues that are found, like maybe a macOS version needs updating, remediation steps are shown to the user. And there's clickable links as well to take them to the right place where they can resolve the issue themselves. So if users are requesting help from the IT team and saying that they can't access, if their conditional access means that they can't, oh boy, that's why you always have your presenter notes, everyone. If they can't access Teams, we'll direct them to run this. Part of the reason that we do this is it reinforces self-service as the place to go for people to try and solve issues on their own. So now, after a few months of education and prompting and reminding people to run this from self-service if they have this issue, we have users who are running the check themselves and pasting the output in their initial message that they open with us. The other benefit for that is users are now checking self-service for other issues to try and see if there's something that they can resolve for themselves without needing to contact us. And if they find something that isn't in self-service, then they let us know, hey, I checked self-service, couldn't see anything for it. Maybe we need to make a new automation, maybe we need to improve the searchability for it, but it gives us some real feedback of what we need to work on next. Now, sometimes the user will forget to take the screenshot or they just click OK too quickly. So the results are always logged to Jamf Pro. So we can just check the policy logs, see what the user saw, success, enabled, not enabled, update available, things like that. Another example I want to talk about is cleaning up unused browsers. So we package up and offer multiple browsers through self-service. Sometimes people get to a new company and they just want to install everything. Now, usually people will settle on one browser that will be their go-to browser. This means that we've got dashboards of maybe a browser needs to be open for the update to be installed. We got red on the dashboard. I don't like seeing that. So we built this browser cleanup prompt as a way for people to self-serve cleaning up their browsers. Again, using Swift Dialog, we've got this, which shows up. We don't want to delete the user's default browser. So that's automatically excluded from this list. Additionally, this list of browsers is only based on what the user has installed on their machine. So in order to come up with this data, I went through the Jamf inventory reporting, looked for browsers in the applications listing, added those to the script, and the icons are sourced locally from the user's hard drive. Hard drive? Whew. Solid state drive. So we've coded in sensible defaults. As soon as you open it up, this is what's shown. None of the browsers are selected, which means that if the user does just click that button, nothing's going to happen. There's also a timer, so if the user forgets about it, we don't want the policy to be stuck in a weird state. And Safari's hidden as well, because sealed system volume, it ain't going anywhere. So from the user's perspective, they can go through and they can read and they can see that they have all these browsers, and all they need to do is click the toggle, which then runs the rest of the script based on what they've chosen. So it might be an official uninstaller, it might be a cleanup, you might want to go full nuclear and remove all the p-lists and preference files. It's up to you. Choose your own adventure there. Just like before, the results are logged to Jamf Pro. So there's going to be a historical record. So that way, if a user says, oh, I didn't realize it was going to delete that, we can say, well, it looks like you wanted to delete Microsoft Edge, so it's gone. Again, because all the browsers are in self-service, they can always reinstall it themselves, so it's not too much of a big deal. Their job is not to manage devices. That's our job. Now, Marcus Ransom said this on the Mac Admin's WWDC Flashcast around the time I was writing these slides, and I was like, oh, thank you very much, Marcus. That will go very nicely. Because we've looked at automations involving users, but what if we just had automations? So this is a real-time recording of automatic remediation. So in this example, an event happens. I've shared a file via AirDrop to my computer. And there's a Jamf protect analytic looking for those inbound AirDrop events. The Jamf protect analytic action creates a local flag. There's a pre-existing extension attribute in Jamf Pro. This is all documented on Jamf's website as well. This action triggers a recon to update the computer's extension attributes, which then puts the computer in the smart computer group relevant for this policy. And finally, the policy is triggered. So you can do anything that a policy can do. In this case, bringing back the old friend Swift Dialog, but again, it's up to you and your organization to work out what you want to do in a situation like this. That was a 37-second recon as well. We used to have a longer recon, but pro tip, revisit your Jamf inventory collection settings. If there's anything in there that you don't need, you don't use, turn it off. When I was trying to do this recording initially, it was taking maybe 1.5 minutes. I wanted to have it a real-time recording. So I turned off user home drive, home folder size. That's it. That's the only change I made. There wasn't much need for us, and the recon time goes down. So check your own settings. So that was instant resolution, but maybe you've got eventual resolution, because not all issues need to be solved instantly. For these, you can go the route of creating an extension attribute. You can then define a smart computer group looking for that extension attribute criteria. This should be all things that you're familiar with in Jamf Pro already, hopefully. So make sure that any policies you run will update the extension attribute value so it won't be continuously triggered on every check-in. You don't want to keep trying to run a policy again and again and again. Make sure that you have some way to say, don't run this. So let's say your organization is comfortable with AirDrop, but you want the AirDrop setting to be more like iOS, where it turns off after 10 minutes when it's set to everyone. So we have an extension attribute here, which has AirDrop discoverability, everyone. The smart computer group will then, the device will be added to the smart computer group, and a policy will run to set AirDrop sharing back to contacts only. This policy also runs a recon, which will then force the extension attribute to recheck itself. The extension attribute value will be updated to say it's contacts only, and the next time the device checks in, the policy won't be run because they're not in that smart computer group. So you've had a great time making all of these automations for your organization. Hopefully, you're going to have a lot more time to focus on tasks that really need more of that personal touch. Maybe you've got time to look at all the new and exciting things that have just been announced at JNUC. I'd really strongly encourage you to share what you've learned. What might seem entry-level or basic or obvious to you could be mind-blowing to someone who hasn't come across that situation yet. Sharing with your team is an easy place to start. You can pair on tasks, so work 2 people, 1 keyboard. This can unlock new ideas or ways of solving a problem that you or the other person might not have considered. Document what you've learned. We all know documentation is key. Usually I write my documentation for myself. Other people get it as the benefit, but I know that a couple of weeks down the track, I'm going to forget what I did, why I did it, and the pitfalls to look out for. I'd also recommend adding projects and automations to a brag book. This doesn't have to be in your work environment. This could be a notepad. This could be, a brag book should just be things that you've worked on that you are proud of, that you want to share. There's always so many things to do, and we're always moving very quickly from one task to the next. And sometimes it's nice to be able to look back at that brag book, see what you have done, what you have achieved. It is also really helpful when it comes time to promotion discussions. What value have you brought to the company? Check your brag book. If you're piloting a new workflow, get feedback from your company. Share what's new. Get people involved. Get that early feedback before you deploy it to everyone. When you ask for their feedback, you might not agree with it all, and there might be reasons why you've implemented something one way. Maybe it's a company policy, maybe it's I didn't think of what their feedback was about. Community. We love the community. We are the community. So broadcast. Write that blog post. Give that presentation. Will you be up here next JNUC talking about the automations that you've written for your organization? Talk about the challenges and the gotchas that you face, as well as the successes. Donate. Now, some projects ask for donations in the form of money. Some projects don't want that. Maybe you're at an organization that doesn't allow that as well. In that case, make open source contributions. A lot of the tools that we're familiar with using in the MacAdmins community are open source and available for anyone to help improve. A lot of the tools that I showed today, like Swift Dialog, Pixar Animation Studios have made Ruby JSS, a Ruby gem for interacting with Jamf Pro. Sometimes you find something and you're like, ooh, that could be better, or it doesn't quite fit my use case. It's a good way to learn. If you go back to pairing with your team, you can both learn and upskill as well. If you don't know how to code, that's fine. If you use a product, you can still contribute and help by, if you're in the relevant Slack channel on the MacAdmins Slack and you see someone asking a question that you've learnt about in your journey, respond. You can submit issues on all these open source repos as well. Maybe it's an issue that you've encountered with really weird reproduction steps, so make sure to include those so then other people who do want to help and have the time and ability to write the code can help fix that for everyone. And maybe you can be that person. Submit the pull request. PR's welcome. So the takeaways are there's so much to do, so you need to focus your time on the most impactful things first. Work out if a user needs to be involved in what you're trying to solve, or if it can be fully automated. Does that automation need to happen immediately or eventually? This might change your approach to how you go about solving the problem. And share what you have learned with your team, the company, the community. We're all here to help together. Thank you. I'll just go back here in case you want to take a picture. That's really too far. Nice.
Thank you, Nick. Anybody have some questions? Nick came a long way, all the way across the world for today's presentation. Any questions we can help address? Here we go.
I noticed you mentioned Swift Dialog a lot. What other automation tools outside of Jamf do you prefer?
Outside of Jamf, we write a lot of custom software. That Mario Kart software that I was talking about, that's a Ruby on Rails app and a Rust analyzer that processes all of the frames. We have a highly technical cohort at our company. So if there's an API, we've got some Ruby on Rails apps set up which have all the plumbing hooked up already to send a message to Slack or to check something on GitHub. Custom tooling is not for everyone because there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of with how it's deployed and how it's managed and kept up. But there's plenty of low-code or no-code platforms as well. Depending on If you use Okta, there's Okta workflows. I think there's a few vendors here who are talking about low-code, no-code systems as well. But yeah, we write a lot of custom software ourselves.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions? Once, twice, maybe? There we go.
Just curious if you've made any of these automations available on GitHub.
Not yet. That's why there's no QR codes, no links. I'm still trying to find a good way. Like, a lot of these examples are very demo optimized, let's say. But there are a few things that I've been working on which I do want to open source, and I'll try and broadcast on the Mac admins community when they're done. For example, we've been experimenting with infrastructure as code and trying to import some of the resources that already exist into Terraform. I didn't want to have to download all of the scripts and do all that manually, so I wrote a little bash script which connects to the Jamf API and outputs the Terraform that we need. So something like that would be a good example of me following my own advice and sharing what I've learned as soon as I tidy up the code and make it a bit more other people friendly.
Any other questions? No?
If you ever want to talk automations, come find me outside. Find me on Mac Admin Slack. I'm Nick F. The picture's me, so you know what I look like now. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick.
Great. Thanks, everyone.